Ellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Amp2.tv presents You and Your Doctor, teaching you to live a longer and healthier life. Proudly sponsored by All County Healthcare, where people are the heart of our business. All County Healthcare is a Medicare certified agency where one call will service all your home care health needs. For more information, call 954-717-7027 or visit our website, allcountyhealthcare.com. Now, let's get informed to living a longer and healthier life. Here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back to another episode of You and Your Doctor, sponsored by All County Healthcare. We are a certified home health care agency servicing Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade. You can reach us at 954-717-7027. I am your host, Louise Gomez, and I would like to welcome to the show this evening, we have Alejandro Medin, who is a licensed clinical psychologist. And you're going to want to write his number down. You can reach him at 754-273-5510. The web address is www.healthandlight.com. And you can email him any questions at info@healthandlight.com. He has over 30 years experience with the foundation in clinical psychology, training in body work, breath work, meditation, Watsu, yoga, and just so much more. Welcome to the show, Alejandro. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Louise. How are you?
I'm doing well. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and coming to share with us.
Of course, a pleasure to be here.
Sure. And I wanted to thank you for, coming on and sharing with us, because I know you do so much. I kind of gave a quick introduction, but can you tell us a little bit more about what made you want to learn all these different modalities? I know you do clinical psychology, and then you do body work and breath work, meditation, Watsu, and just so much more. What was your why for wanting to learn about these modalities?
Well, I grew up in Argentina, and it was a tumultuous time after the military government. And there was, since I was very young, there was a deep search for truth. What is truth? I couldn't find truth within the confinement of our cultural conditioning or our cultural values. So my path started with psychology. So I thought that thinking and clarifying the mind, that would be a good first step into stepping into what is the truth about life and so forth. Mm-hmm. So I became a clinical psychologist, and after graduating and spent a couple of years working in a psychiatric clinic, I faced a deep a professional crisis because the system was so sinister in how they were just giving the patients medications just to compensate them and rotate the beds so they can make money. And from a health a mental health point of view, that is something that just shook me to my core. So I had to step back from that situation and continue with my own psychotherapy. But I would realize that Western psychology doesn't really offer the full truth, the full picture, if you may. The mind is just one part of our consciousness.
Right.
So in seeking deep answers, I started to study Eastern masters, Eastern philosophies, and the work of different enlightened masters, until I found what would become my spiritual master, which was Osho. And when I found his work, it was just talking to my soul. It was way beyond anything that I have, written or read, during my years in psychology. The way it's approached psychology in the West is very, very much from the mind.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
so the problem with the mind is that from our upbringing, our conditioning through generations over generations, the mind becomes very limited from all the mandates that we have as we start growing up, all the things that are, good and bad, and
The
all those
programming.
indoctrinations. Exactly, the programming. So the whole work of clinical psychology is trying to access the unconscious and try to expand that consciousness, that part of our mind, our conscious, so to be able to access those areas that are not conscious. The problem that the approach is through the mind. So
Yes.
you cannot approach the unconscious from the mind, because the mind itself is conditioned by itself,
That's
and
right.
it has enacted huge barriers to protect itself, to protect the ego. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started to work with enlightened masters, I realized that they were taking different approaches. They were using the body, and they were using the emotions, and they were using meditation, and that started a whole new chapter in my career and my life. And I moved to India. I spent 6 months in his ashram, and the beauty of his ashram is that he was attracting psychotherapists from all over the world.
Very nice.
Uh, yeah, and so it was like a huge cauldron where all different types of therapies were actually being experimented, all with a purpose of finding enlightenment, right, and finding peace,
Yes.
and finding the center. Osho would say that the Western mind is too busy to sit them in meditation, that you need to make them actually release all the emotions, all the conditioning, all the mandates, all the programming, as you were saying.
Yes.
So once all that energy is liberated, now they have, the enough energy to be able to sit in meditation and experience those experiences of enlightenment or bliss. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from all the therapies I found one that resonated and blew my mind, which was what ended up being Watsu. Was an adaptation of Watsu, which is an aquatic therapy in the water that basically consists of floating a person and allowing the nervous system to relax on a very deep level. And from that deep relaxation, all the defenses actually automatically just melt away. And in that melting away of the defenses, anything that is being repressed by those defenses comes up naturally without having to engage the mind. It just bubbles up like
Yes.
bubbles coming up from the deep, right?
Can
So and since I started to do that work, I realized how the approach to the body is a much more direct approach. The
yes.
mind has a very limited understanding of ourselves, and through the body we are able to get into those areas that we have forgotten.
Yes.
So basically, that's how I got into all this.
Well, I have to say, Alejandro, I want to tell the audience the reason I invited you is because I did try the Watsu class at your center, and I had a very profound shift and experience. And it wasn't even through the receiving, it was through the giving. And so I had a very powerful breakthrough, and so I wanted to share this modality with the audience, with everybody in South Florida who's listening, because I agree with you. We have programs and mandates and ways in which we're culturally conditioned. And I just want to share with people that are open to maybe finding other modalities that this is something that shifted me greatly. And so that's really why I wanted you to come on, so you can share this modality with the audience, because I
Thank you.
believe, yeah, I believe, you know, peace starts with us, right? If we want to see peace in the world, we create peace within ourselves, right? And so
Exactly.
yes. So I believe in all these different modalities that you do. I know you do meditation as well, and yoga. What other breath work as well? Can you share with us a little bit about breath work?
Yeah, breathwork is another technique that I use, which is basically energizing our prana, our life force. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we go through a breathwork session, a breathwork therapy session, we're actually creating a whole alchemy in our system. Our from this continuous breath that we use a circular breath where there is a lot of CO2 that it gets exhaled, so the
Right.
body enters into a state of alkalosis. And in that state of alkalosis is like an altered state. This
Yes.
type of breathwork was developed back in the 60s and 70s in Esalen, which is an institute in California, when they were experimenting with LSD. And then the state started to crank up on
Sure.
restrictions on LSD. So they started to find natural ways of how to get into altered states with natural ways. And they found that actually through circular breath therapy, they can actually get people to re-energize their voice to the point that all the defenses, all
Yeah.
the dam that is holding our emotions can actually melt and break away. So all our emotions and our numbness that we have created from all accumulated pain or trauma or stress gets to get shaken away, and all our emotions become alive, and we recover a sense of ourselves that have been long forgotten.
Question. I think I read somewhere that doing that type of breath work can actually stimulate the pineal gland to release the natural, maybe DMT or different types of excretions in the
Yeah,
brain. Yeah.
yeah, there is certain types of breath work where you concentrate on your third eye and in bringing the energy through your spinal fluid, and in that oxygenation and that circulation of the spinal fluid activates the pineal gland. And yeah, so that's one of the benefits of using breath work to promote healing, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are people listening right now, and maybe they're looking for alternative ways. Maybe they're on medication and they're looking for alternative ways. How can this support somebody who maybe is going through, maybe they have chronic pain or they have certain, soreness or stiffness in their body? Does that help with pain, doing breath work on a repeated basis?
Yeah, so we would have to think where how let's talk a little bit about body armor. Yeah, our body armor
Yes.
is an is layers that we start accumulating in our body from stress, from repressed emotions, from defense mechanisms, from even body posture,
Yeah.
even from our upbringing, our cultural social conditioning, or any habitual patterns, or our childhood experiences. Yeah,
Yes.
so that puts us in a state of fight and flight. If you
Right.
think about our society, we are all the time on the defense, most of the time. Yeah, especially if we go out and we need to get things done, we
Yeah.
need to sort our way out through a maze. Yeah, that puts our nervous system into a fight and flight response. When that fight and flight response becomes chronic, when we are all the time overstimulated
Yes.
and we don't have enough time to relax and take care of ourselves,
Yeah.
and just find that place of silence. So when we don't allow enough silence and empty space in our lives, we just become addicted to this state
Right.
of hypertension, yeah, in our nervous system. So in that sense, that builds like a shield in our body,
It's like a
and it's a
protection.
shield yeah, and it's an emotional shield that it gets like frozen in our body, yeah. So
Yes.
we're to the point that we are not feeling ourselves on a deep level. We're not feeling our because it comes down to feeling, yeah.
Yes.
So if we are able to slow down, we are able to feel, and sometimes feeling is uncomfortable, and that's
Yes.
when we use the breath, and that's where the breath work comes into play, and that's why it's so important to learn.
Alejandro, I'm sorry to cut you off. We have a quick commercial break, okay? We'll be right back and we'll continue this conversation. All righty.
Sounds good.
All County Healthcare has exciting news for any and all patients with COPD or other respiratory ailments. Listen to what renowned pulmonologist Dr. Keith Robinson has to say.
Hello, I'm Dr. Keith Robinson, board-certified pulmonologist, medical director at Fusion Health Pulmonary Rehabilitation, and a board member with the American Lung Association of South Florida. We have exciting news for patients with COPD. We now offer IPV therapy at home, which has been demonstrated to improve airway clearance, decrease hospitalization, and improve quality of life of patients with COPD. Please call All County Healthcare for more information about this FDA-approved therapy.
For further information, call All County Healthcare now at 954-717-7027. That is 954-717-7027, or visit our website at allcountyhealthcare.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, All County Healthcare always puts the patient's needs first. You are listening to You and Your Doctor, Living Longer and Healthier, an informative show that helps you find answers to questions you always wanted to ask, but did not have that somebody that could make a difference in your life. Call into the show if you have a question at 888-565-1470, and we will put you on the air to inform all our listeners. Now, back to our show.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning back in. We are having a delightful conversation with Alejandro Medin, who is a licensed clinical psychologist. And thanks for coming back, Alejandro. I'm enjoying this conversation. We were discussing body armor. And yeah, we were discussing body armor and how it's a protection for our body. We stay in that fight or flight. And it could be for years, and people aren't even aware of it. And maybe they walk with a shoulder that's twisted, and they don't even know it. And it could be maybe something that they held on to for years, or I don't know what, So, the body armor, I imagine it's a protection that our body's trying to protect us. But please continue what you were discussing, how, it puts us in fight or flight, and how we can work with your modalities to heal that.
Yeah, so as I was saying, there's different reasons that our body armor over the years gets built up. So and it is normal from our everyday living, to the point that we are not able to feel ourselves. So it's like when we go when we are stressed out and we have to get things done, and then we come home and it takes us some time to unwind and really calm down, right? So in that moment when our system is in fight and flight response, there is a set of hormones that actually puts us into this, into this state and prevents us from feeling on a deep level. Adrenaline, for example, is one of the, of the hormones that gets released, right? And when that happens, we don't feel the pain. We don't feel, ourselves on a deep level. So when that becomes chronic, then we become foreign to ourselves. So I think what is important to note is that it is in our reach to be able to come back. And the way we do that is through breath, to being present with our breath. If we would have only one technique that we can share today, is to be present with our breath. And especially be able to experience the out breath to the point that we create more and more depth into our being. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's the beauty of feeling sadness and feeling grief, because sadness and grief, they create depth in our being. Yeah.
This is
So
true.
it's important. Yeah. So it's important, when we try to not feel, when we take coffee not to feel bad, not to feel down. Yeah, we are adding to that body armor, because we're keeping our nervous system tonified on a certain level, so it doesn't allow us to really come down and really connect to our core, because we find our center in deep relaxation. So,
Right.
as a guideline, if in deep relaxation you are not at peace, there is something in there that is keeping you from that peace. And if you are able to focus on that is that uneasiness that is not able, that is not allowing you to drop in deeper, if you're starting to have those feelings, that's when you're using your breath, and use the breath to breathe all that negative energy, those negative emotions, those feelings, that inadequacy or whatever, we've been carrying,
Yes.
throughout the years. So if we're able to, exhale them out and use the breath to oxygenate and clean our system, that, slowly, if we do that as a practice, it allows us to become more whole. It allows us to embrace a deeper sense of ourselves. So it is important to note that the state of fight and flight creates an addiction in our system. Yeah, it's like many people come to my practice and they say, "Well, no, I can't stop coffee because it gives me a headache." Well, because their nervous system got used to it. Their system got used to, that state of tonification.
This is
So
true.
it's important. It is important to, come back and allow, if you can, the days that, for example, the weekends that you're not working, that you don't need to wake up early in the
Sure.
morning, you can have the discipline of not having coffee, and use that time to regenerate, to allow your
Yes.
nervous system to drop in and able to recharge. Yeah.
Yes. Alejandro, we have 2 minutes left. This interview has gone so fast. Are there any takeaways? Are there any things that you want to share with the audience before we conclude the interview?
I think the most important part in our well-being is realizing that in deep relaxation there is healing.
Yes.
So if we can embrace in our lives more moments, and we can carve into our days more moments of deep relaxation, that will go a long ways towards helping us having a more wholesome life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if feelings come, through, if that emptiness, in that relaxation, if we have feelings come, embrace those feelings. Allow, the breath to help you move those feelings out. And if you need more help
Yeah.
in assisting you in that process, I'm, happy to help. I'm here for you guys. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. You can reach him at 754-273-5510. The website is www.healthandlight.com. Thank you so much for your information and sharing of all your knowledge and experience today, Alejandro. Truly appreciate
You're welcome.
you.
And
Yes.
one more thing. I have a workshop coming up this Sunday, which is a workshop on breath work and Watsu, aquatic healing work. So if that's something that would interest you, you want to explore more the power of your emotions and how to really release deep-seated emotions, that would be a great workshop for you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Have a lovely evening.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. Take care.